Shrek versus Squidward. I really wanted to just do a video on Shrek because I really admire Shrek, and I'm gonna tell you why. But I'm gonna go ahead and include Squidward in this too, because I thought of two characters, two well-known animated characters who are somewhat had a quote miserable life, but there's a difference obviously between the two. And the reason why I admire Shrek is you can't really say Shrek had a miserable life. I'm talking about in the very beginning. In the very beginning, when it was just him in his swamp, you know, before the motherfuckers from the village or the quote the city came and infiltrated his life and what he had going on. This man was in complete isolation. He was in his own little spot. He was in the crib chilling, drinking fucking snail juice, whatever the fuck it was he was eating. Eyeballs with jelly coming out the motherfuckers. This man was pleased and content and comfortable with his isolated life, man. He was definitely not miserable. I guess you could say he was a quote introvert, or he just a guy who liked to keep to himself. You know, give him that. So I admire Shrek, man, because it's like he was happy with his life. But that's what he wanted. I don't really know too much. I mean, until he ran into Princess Fiona later down the road after he was sent on a mission. Then he was sent on a mission by Lord Farquaad. He didn't really have too much of a love interest. I don't think he really had any preferences. I don't even think they really touched too much on, any type of woman in his life, this and that. I think it was just Shrek all his life by himself. I'm not even sure about his parents or his childhood, his childhood upbringing and all that stuff. All I know is Shrek, basically the original movie, which came out in 2001, a forever classic. It just starts off with Shrek in the swamp. It's just Shrek, man. And then the motherfuckers, fucking bitch ass niggas from the village want to come in and fuck up what he got going on, fucking up his little rotation he got going on, his routine. And I think about that even sometimes with my life, man. Like, sometimes I'm okay with who I am and I'm not satisfied with my life as a whole. I'm not gonna sit here and lie about that, but I'm okay with being off to myself. Sometimes I embrace my loneliness, sometimes to a degree. I'm used to being alone, so a lot of times I low-key choose to be alone. It's half forced loneliness and it's half me just choosing to be alone, because it's what I'm comfortable with. Then you have some motherfuckers want to come and infiltrate and just fuck up what you got going on, man. Either physically or verbally. Somebody got to come and just say some smart shit. If you're okay with just being a nigga just kept to himself and this and that, there ain't nothing wrong with that, man. That's what I admire about Shrek. Shrek was really bulletproof in his integrity and who he was, man. But let's say I'm okay with my situation, this and that. I like to be off to myself. I don't like to be bothered with people. I really don't. I don't like to be bothered with people. A lot of times you can't take nothing I do personally. I like to keep to myself. Sometimes I don't want to talk. I don't want to see your ass. I'm just being honest, man. Let's say you got a pair of shoes. You're happy with your pair of fucking Reeboks or fucking Shaquille O'Neal's. You know what I'm saying? I'm just naming some shoes people probably don't wear no more like that. And then somebody come and say, man, why you wearing Reeboks, man? Man, what are those? What are those? just being stupid and goofy, man. Just trying to make fun of your shoes, this and that. And it's like, you was comfortable with them shoes. But now you kind of got a self-conscious. Now you're being bothered with. Now you're annoyed. It's like, you know what I'm saying? You didn't think your shoes was a problem until some motherfuckers come along and try to be a fucking bully or some shit. So those are just examples. You don't gotta let people get to you. But I'm just naming fucking examples, okay? But anyways, back to Shrek, man. Shrek was that nigga, man. Shrek was comfortable with his life, bro. Now, Somebody who's living it up from the outside may look at Shrek lifestyle and be like, man, Shrek was a loser, man. Shrek was lame, or Shrek was miserable, man. He was depressed. He didn't have no woman. He was just in there by himself. Shit, I don't think the nigga was even jacking off, man. This nigga had no desire for anything sexual. He just in there watching gray and black television and drinking fucking snail coffee, whatever it is. But that's just because you got a particular lifestyle. You're used to this and that. You're used to getting bitches. You're used to going out and having a social life of abundance. But you look at somebody like Shrek and look down on it like, man, nah, man, that's a miserable life. But to Shrek, he was comfortable with that. To him, that's the life. Yeah, man. That's it, Chief. You know, he didn't need nobody validation. There was no such thing as that. He was in his own world. He didn't know what's cool and what's not cool. He was in his own fucking world. That's the privilege and the advantage that Shrek had. You know, it ain't like he was in a world where everything's so fucking over-sexualized and self-centered and superficial, this and that, Instagram, and look at me. You know, look at my cool life versus yours and competition, blah, blah, all that bullshit. Nah, man, Shrek was in his own fucking lane, in his own fucking universe, in his own fucking world, nigga. And that's what's so cool about Shrek, and that's what I admire about Shrek, man. This nigga didn't give a fuck about none of that, because he ain't had nothing to give a fuck about. All he knew was him in his fucking swamp. Just leave me in my swamp alone! He was going off on them bitch ass niggas, man. Why y'all villagers coming over there fucking with him, man? Get back the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Get off Shrek dick, bruh. You know. But anyway, so Squidward, nah, you know, we gonna keep it a buck. Squidward was miserable, man. And obviously, you know, it showed pretty much in every episode Shrek being not so excited about his life. I mean, it was there as plain as day. His resting face. I think that's the only face he had. It's just his resting face, which looked miserable. It was just like a permanent frown, just plastered on his face. Because sometimes I feel like that. My resting face just unpresentable. You know, probably keep people at bay. Sometimes I feel like Squidward, man, but Squidward ain't like Squidward had a quote miserable life, man. And I'm not saying it. I'm just saying what he said. He ain't like his own life. He had a nice house. I mean, you know, Squidward did have a decent crib, man. I mean, you could almost call that some kind of, I ain't gonna say a mansion, but it was a nice 2-story house. Very luxurious house, man. It was a house of luxury, man. Very well kept, very organized, very proper. This and that. You know, he knew how to play the clarinet. He'd fuck up sometimes. But he was still that, you know, he was still that nigga on the clarinet from time to time. But he was definitely not where he wanted to be in life. He was pretty much a failed musician. At one point he did have aspirations to be this and that, I'm pretty sure. But he never could live out them dreams, man. To where he found himself waking up having to go clock in at the bullshit Krusty Krab, man. You know. And I'm just comparing that to like your normal fast food, like a fucking Checkers or some fucking chicken joint. Or even fucking like McDonald's or something like that. You know, flipping patties and shit. You know, you're on the fucking stove or the oven or whatever, flipping patties all day and burgers and all that. So it's pretty much, Krusty Krab was like a well-known fast food spot in the area, but it was nothing special. It was special, but it wasn't special, you know what I'm saying? So Squidward, if we be real, he wasn't trying to be at no damn Krusty Krab, man. This man wanted to be on stage. He wanted to be performing in front of hundreds and thousands of people. You know, he wanted to be a professional musician. You know, and he was miserable with his life, man. He had annoying ass neighbors. And I ain't gonna lie, man. You know, I fuck with SpongeBob ass, but they could be some annoying ass niggas, man. Patrick and SpongeBob be some annoying ass neighbors. If, I could just put myself in that scenario, and I could see why Squidward wanted to just fucking rip his fucking eyes out. But Squidward, man, versus Shrek, you can't really. It's not even really a comparison. It is just two different situations. But Shrek was happy with his living situation. That's all he knew until his life was penetrated. And, until he was visited by outsiders. And ran out of his swamp. And Squidward, he was miserable about his life, man. Squidward, really the only person I know is probably more miserable than Eeyore. The goddamn character from Winnie the Pooh. Eeyore. The one who's always looking sad and droopy. He's the only character I know is probably more sadder than Eeyore, man. But Squidward life, bruh, is definitely miserable. I'm surprised, the nigga didn't kill himself. I just think just because it was a kid's show, he never made that attempt. But if SpongeBob was more graphic and more targeted towards adults, which in the beginning it was, it didn't start off as a kiddie show. In the very beginning, the first SpongeBob seasons, it was a lot of subliminal adult jokes thrown in there and stuff like that. It was a show that the whole family could just sit down and watch. The kids could watch, and the dad could watch, and the whole family could just watch and get a laugh out of it. But if SpongeBob was more graphic, man, best believe it, Squidward would have been trying to take his own self out of it, man. Like, ain't no goddamn way Squidward was just happy and comfortable with just being a fucking cashier at the fucking Krusty Krab with a fucking with a cheap, delusional, crazy ass boss, Mr. Krabs, which the nigga did have a lot of money. He didn't ever spend it. He didn't spend money, but he did save a lot of money. But the nigga was cheap as hell, and that nigga was very strict about certain things at the job. If he lost a fucking penny, if he lost a customer, man, he on your ass. Squidward, what are you doing? Like, he be in your face real quick. And then he had an annoying ass coworker with his neighbor, SpongeBob. Like, it ain't even a situation. Squidward, man, I ain't gonna lie, I feel bad for the nigga. It's like, man, your neighbor is annoying as hell, but you can't even escape the nigga. You go to work. It ain't like you can say, all right, let me get dressed so I can hurry up and go to the Krusty Krab and get away from my annoying neighbor. Your ass clock into work, look up. Here comes, man, Squidward. He come busting in the door right behind you, man. Clocking in right behind you. You can't even escape the nigga, man. It's like a thorn in the flesh. A goddamn mosquito that won't go away. I really feel bad for Squidward, I ain't gonna lie, man. The creators of SpongeBob they did a good job as painting Squidward as this miserable, depressed character, man, that was really stuck in the situation. And all he could do was just mope and complain and just, take it day by day. But he did have his little outlets and his escapes. He did play the clarinet and his instruments, in his time alone. In this lonely house, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the house alone even looked lonely or whatever. But it, overall was a decent house, man. But I don't know, man. This video is random as hell. I just thought of this shit. But Shrek, man, I admire Shrek because all Shrek cared about was that swamp. He cared about that swamp and his peace, man. That's all Shrek wanted. His peace in his swamp. He was content, man, taking mud baths, making fart mud bubbles, eating eyeballs and drinking snail juice, going to sleep, snoring loud as fuck, farting in his sleep. This nigga had it, man. He had it made. Had his dead goldfish in a fish bowl, filthy water and shit. I mean, that was the life of Shrek, bro. That's all Shrek knew, man. But here come these bully ass motherfuckers, man. Want to come and bother him and tell him how to live his life or try to taken from what he knew as normal for him. So, and I said, like I said earlier, I gave an example, like that's like you living your life, you somewhat try to embrace your situation, but then you always got somebody want to bring up something, to say something to make you feel like you're weird and this and that. When it's like, man, you're not me, you're not in my shoes, man. I gotta get used to this. I gotta get used to my lifestyle. But yeah, man. Like, I'm okay with myself. I'm okay. I got my little outlets and stuff I do. I just, like I said earlier, sometimes I still gotta be around people though. To a degree. You gotta go to work. You gotta deal with people, this and that. Sometimes people want to rub stuff in your face, or they want to just ask you questions and bring you back to, quote, reality, or what they believe reality is and what normal is. And now you feel like you're an outcast. You feel so left out, because you ain't got this and that like they got it. Or y'all going on social media, y'all on Facebook and all this bullshit. Y'all watching everybody else present what they want you to see out to the world. Everybody looking happy and satisfied with their life. You know what I'm saying? You feel like, damn, I'm liking this, I'm liking that. I ain't got no friends. I ain't got no social circle. I don't go out like that. Or, you may still stay with your parents. Everybody else seem like they just married and, owning a house and this and that. Owning a car. And it's like, no, don't get me wrong now. I'm not saying be content with being a bum. Cause some people may think I'm sounding like, I'm condoning being a bum. Nah, I'm just saying, some guys really just accept their situation, man. And if they choose to be a bum or what, that's their life, bro. That's their life. Some niggas just ain't got the motivation. But I ain't trying to make it sound like, oh yeah, just be a bum. You know what I'm saying? You may need something to look at for motivation. But don't ever feel too bad, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't got this like the next person. On social media, of course, they're going to be smiling, hugged up with they nigga or they bitch. Man, people be arguing all the time, man. I've known people personally who look good on social media, man, but these motherfuckers be arguing all the goddamn time. Hitting up their parents to help them make the payments and on the cable, the phone, or the rent. They constantly in fights. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't be believing half the shit I see on social media. But your ass fuck around and find yourself in your feelings. You keep believing into that shit. I would just stay away from it, man. If you're a loner, somewhat of an introvert, you kind of consider yourself a loser to society standards. You're kind of an outcast, misfit. I would just stay away from social media. I mean, that's pretty much what I do. I pretty much stay away from anything. I hardly even get on Instagram sometimes. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Some stuff be kind of hard to look at. You know what I'm saying? It's just best to just stay away from certain things. But, it is what it is, man. But, yeah, man, that's just, a video of me just explaining why I somewhat admire Shrek. Because Shrek was cool with his life, man. Shrek wasn't in the swamp miserable and wishing he was a part of the village. Shrek was just himself. That's because that's all he knew. So that's something you could argue. If Shrek knew about what's going on in the village, and maybe he did. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it really gave too much of a backstory if Shrek knew too much about what's going on over in the bitch ass village, man. But from my understanding, Shrek just all he knew was him in his swamp, man. In his mud baths. So that's the advantage he did have. So it wasn't like he was born into the village and then he was forced out into the swamp. So that's why 100%, that's why you can't 100% compare Shrek situation to an outcast or loner situation. Because some people in this spectrum of things, as far as being a loner and stuff, you may feel like you was forced to be a loner or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really compare all the way to Shrek. But Shrek is somewhat of a good example. As somebody who was content with his situation, being isolated and being alone. Squidward, he wasn't really he was kind of isolated. Squidward did kind of have somewhat of a social circle. I mean, he wasn't around him all the time, from my understanding. But I don't know. I mean, there was one episode he did have a little girl. I forgot, what was her name? Squilina or some shit. Squilena, some shit like that. Some of y'all may remember the episode. But she ended up breaking up with him because I guess Squidward wasn't showing her much attention like that. But because I was gonna bring sexual frustration into this thing. Let's see. Shrek versus Squidward as far as now, Shrek, like I said, Shrek, he didn't really have no sexual preferences because he was just him in the swamp. He wasn't really thinking about women like that, and that's why his situation is better, because if he knew about women to think about, then he'd be depressed. Like, damn, I ain't getting no pussy, I ain't getting no ass. These bitches ain't throwing themselves at me. I ain't getting no quote validation from these hoes. He been in that little swamp moping like a motherfucker, man. But Squidward, man, a lot of the reason why Squidward probably was miserable because he had no lady in his life like that, except for that little episode I brought up. That was just one episode. But Squidward really didn't have no consistent sex in his life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm taking it this route. So it's like, damn, maybe that's why a lot of the times he was he was frustrated with his life. Now, I do honestly believe he was mainly frustrated because he wasn't where he wanted to be in life. But I think if the nigga had some sex here and there, you know what I mean? Then, he'd be alright, you know what I'm saying? He wouldn't mind making that awful trip to the Krusty Krab to clock his ass in. His mind be, he have something to look forward to. His mind be on some pussy, like, all right, I gotta deal with this bitch ass SpongeBob back there in the fucking kitchen, singing to himself all goddamn day. And these annoying ass customers, but hey, shit. But anyway, this video random as hell, man. But I just thought I'd talk about that shit, man.